I know it's about to happen. You're going to scream, "Don't talk about that stuff, Jeff. Talk about football." Hang on. I'm going to do this thing. You need to care. You need to care. You should have an opinion on this because it's pretty fascinating and it's worthy of good debate. You don't have to be on social media that much to appreciate several Supreme Court cases that are being heard now. I mean, these really are impactful. And whether you're into politics, forget the politics. We don't live in we don't do politics anymore. We do culture. But no matter what, you can come away with an opinion on this. And there's good arguments either way. I get it. So these Supreme Court cases are fascinating. You don't have to be a legal scholar to appreciate them. They're pretty fundamental and straightforward. You don't have to be a regular voter even to have an opinion on these cases. I don't think you have to care that much about politics at all in these cases. Everyone should have an argument, and you probably should care. Okay? There. I'm going to force you to care. How's that? The first one goes like this. There's a couple of others that are, a little bit more in the weeds, but the first one goes like this. I know my gut reaction, because I think if you are an elected official, your job should suck. I think it should be so miserable you never want to come back. Should public officials be able to block their constituents on social media? There. Yep, it is that straightforward. It is. Should they? Now, they've been sued. You can call them jerks and jackasses and say they're harassing these public officials. But they were blocked, and they sued and said, you have no right as a public official to block us. We have a right to scream at you or use emojis at you or whatever we want to do at you. And they were blocked. And it's been working its way through for a while, which is pretty interesting. Should an elected official be able to block their constituents? I didn't say you have to read them all, respond to them all, or even open it. Should they be able to block their constituents? It's really bizarre. It's a pair of cases, California and Michigan, public officials who blocked critics on social media. Justice is struggling to define when such conduct runs into constitutional limits on the government's ability to restrict speech. Now, there's other cases that I'm going to go off on at some point that are about free enterprise. Twitter is not a government. Facebook's not a government, but this is different. This one is the people being able to say, wait a minute, this is my access to the person I put in office. So what if I call them names? I get access. And the people in office are saying, look, you're bothering me. You're harassing me. I don't need to listen to you all the time. Block. The first one involves public school board trustees. Parents sued them after being blocked from their accounts on Twitter and Facebook. The other would be a couple of elected officials who decided to block their constituents, saying, hey, look, now you have no right to threaten people, and we could debate what exactly is a level of harassment, but you've got to start at the fundamental place. And that is, should elected officials be able to block you? Got it? Okay, I'll go first. No. There. No. No. And more no. Now, where I think it gets dicey, well, Jeff, what about their personal accounts? Some would argue, is there such a thing if you're in office? Maybe. If it is your government account, if it is your office account, if it is the office of you representing me or anybody else listening right now, then no, how dare you block somebody? I don't care if you ever even open your laptop. That's not the point. To block them is a message coming from you. And I think the court and the public has every right to say, no, you don't go blocking me. You can choose not to read me. How dare you, who works for me, block me? See, I have this, I know no one agrees with me on this stuff. I'm a political anarchist. I think our relationship with people that we elect is so upside down and so screwed up. We don't manage them at all. We kiss their ass. We treat them as royalty. We pick our own sides and treat them as royalty when it really should be no different than how you would act with your accountant. You work for me. Hurry up. Get to it. Get in and out of the office. But we don't operate that way. And I think this is a perfect example. This is, I think, a really healthy case, even though most of us don't pay any attention and don't give a flip at all except to suck up to somebody in office. But I think this is real. I think this is really important. I think the message needs to be sent. You're in office, at least pretend that you're listening. And blocking people is not even pretending that you're listening. It's saying just the opposite. You don't matter. I'm so important and I'm so above you that I can block you even. And it should be just the opposite. Man, you work for me, and your days are going to suck working for me. So, no, I think that's different than threats. I think it's different than, whatever could be deemed harassment. But you should not be able to have the starting point of I'm blocking the public. No way. No way. This is the equivalent of a phone call. It's the equivalent of, walking up to a podium at a city council meeting or a school board meeting. This is the equivalent of that. And they should not be able to block you out of that either. This is the public space. Now, this is not the same thing as Facebook. Facebook's a private business. They don't have to listen to you, but somebody you elect, I think, does. No, let me rephrase that. They don't have to listen to you. They can't block you. That's wrong. It's fundamentally wrong, I think. I don't know how this is going to play. I don't know how it can't play out with a court saying you can't block them. Unless, of course, there's an argument about personal accounts. And I'm sure I believe the elected officials. I will say this. I'm sure they have plenty of examples of lunatics that just harass them with stuff, right? And I suspect it's probably one kind of audience. It's probably anti-vaxxers or stuff like that. But either way, they have a right to be heard. I would just say this, that if it's your personal account, should it be labeled? Should it be labeled? That's where I think things are going to get kind of gray. But the black and white part is your government account, you have no right to block anybody. Unless they're threats, unless they're committing a crime, whatever. No chance. No way. I mean, that person, I don't care if they send 50,000 emails and pictures of their face. You can't block them. That's wrong. I think it's fundamentally wrong. But that's it. It's actually the court's been hearing this. Should public officials, it's so funny just to read it because it's that straightforward. Should public officials be able to block constituents on social media? I'm actually going to fight with you if you say yes. I don't know why you would. I don't know why people suck up to people in office so much anyway. Why do you treat them like royalty? Except the other side you hate. I think we ought to just fundamentally just treat everyone like an employee. Oh, really? You had a bad day at the office? I don't care. I don't care. Quit. Notice how no one in public office never quit. They don't quit. They don't quit. Cut their salary in half. They won't quit. That's because they increase their net worth while they're in office. That should bother you. But it's one of 3 Supreme Court cases. I know. Jeff, talk about football now. No, you talk about this right now. This should matter to you a lot. It's fascinating. And I do think there's another argument. I know what these people are going to say. They're going to say, well, yeah, that's real easy for you, Ward. You don't have to respond to them. And you can't believe what they're saying. They're calling me Fauci and saying I'm pushing drugs. And I know. I'm sure you're right about what they're saying. I'm sure you're right in that they're a pain in the ass. You took the job. They should at least feel as if they have access. The government cannot and should not block access. They can tune you out. But sending the message that we can block your access is really, really the wrong message. It's fundamentally wrong.